This is a tutorial video in QGIS. I'm using 3.2, and what we are doing here is transferring a GPX file that might come from, say, a GPS unit, and we want to change that into something that we can utilize in QGIS. Let's just transfer it to a shapefile in this case. We could obviously go to a lot of different file types, file formats. So the first thing we want to do is we want to point it to the directory. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into the data source manager, and I want to click on vector. So I'll click on vector, and under vector I'm going to point it to the actual GPX file within the folder. Let's say open, and then say add. And as I do that, it's going to give me a preview of what types of features I have within the GPX. In this particular GPX, I have 7 points or 7 waypoints, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that's highlighted. If you are collecting tracks or routes, you'll also want to highlight those two, or which one you're actually interested in, and then you just say OK, and it'll drop that into your main map frame here. Then what we want to do is actually take a look at the attribute table. So we open up the attribute table, and in the attribute table we can see that we don't have anything that's particularly meaningful in terms of actual latitude and longitude coordinates. So oftentimes what we want to do at this point is go ahead and add in those coordinates. And what we can do is we can simply go up to vector and go to geometry tools, and we can add geometry attributes. So here it is. So I'll see my waypoints, and then since I'm in WGS 1984 or EPSG 4326, and I want to have my latitude longitude in that particular coordinate system, I would just use the layer. Okay, so you just want to make sure that you're picking, that you're very conscious of, I'm picking a projected CRS, or I'm using the default, which in this case is going to be WGS 84. Okay, so I said layer, and then I can run it in the background and create a temporary file. And as I do that, I'll close it, and then we can go in and look at the result. So we open up the attribute table, and then we're going to have an XY coordinate column here in the far right. So at this point in time, what I would do is I would then just go ahead and export this out. And of course, you can export it as any file type that you would like based on your options here. I'm just going to go to Esri shapefile. I'll just call this, I'm going to go into the GPX folder, and I'll just call it test GPX and say save and say OK. And then as I do that, it's going to drop it into my layers. And again, we can see the X coordinate and the Y coordinate. So that gets you set up for then going ahead and developing out a full table for your GPX points that you've taken with the GPS in the field.